I'm falling asleep on the job. Okay, let me just, can you guys hear me? Because for some reason, things don't want to work for me. I don't know what's going on. Why can't I hear myself? That's why. Here we go. I figured it out. I'm just playing around with some stuff, so just give me a minute and I will start talking. Okay, so my name's Charity Low. I am here to show you guys how to use the Vinci Eye App to its fullest to get photorealistic drawings. We are currently working on a graphite portrait of a mom and a daughter. And the first thing I'm going to do is just quickly show you how the app works. We're using the AR mode, which is an optional mode. AR will track an image like this. Let me just see here. Just give me a second. I'll just let you see through the camera. Well, actually. Okay, so the anchor is something like this. You can print it off, or you can make your own, which is just scribblies on a card about the size of no smaller than the size of a bank card. So what it does is it tracks the placement of your drawing. You can have your drawing surface tilted. It will adjust to the tilt. You can have your phone tilted if it makes it easier for you to see that way. You don't have to worry about it being distorted. And also, when you tape it down, well, you should be taping it down regardless. It will stay in place, will not move if you move your drawing surface or your phone, and it will automatically save where you've placed it. I'll show you where that is. Give me a second. Fancy anchor. Yeah, I printed it off. I think it was on the website, or I don't know, it could have been just directly sent to me by Sam. But it's already set up in the app. Like you don't need to, all you need to do is print and cut, and then it will just automatically do everything for you because he built it into the app recently. Okay, so I'm gonna leave. This is the main page on the iOS, some other videos that I've done and other people have done. If you're interested in watching those, you can look at people's artwork, the featured stuff that Sam picks out and puts on. When you need to do more than one day of drawing, you can just go to your projects. This will automatically save for every project. You don't need to worry about pushing the save button. You just scroll down to what you want to work on, press it, and then it will automatically line up. This is great if you have a giant clipboard. You can have more than one project going on at a time. I have about 2 or 3 projects that go on at about the same time. So between the live videos, the commissions, and the quick advertisements, I have a lot going on. Now let's get into tools that you're going to need. I am using a 11 by 14 inch Bristol board paper. It is thicker and it's very smooth. And then for pencils, I have a 2H, HB, 6B, and 14B. But you might have something different. I will show you how to pick your pencils if you got a new drawing set. So I think these might not be in order here, but just as an example. So you get a brand new set. This is charcoal, so we're gonna go over. Yeah, it's not, oh wait, it might be in order, or almost in order. So you pick your hardest pencil. This one is a 4H. I have a 2H. And then your medium pencil, which is the HB, it's a standard pencil. Then you go for the the darkest pencil you have, which is the largest number with B. And then you go in between the HB and the darkest pencil you have. This one's an 8B. And you go in between, right in the middle of those two, and you pick this would be a 4B. That's how you choose. Everybody, different pencils have different sets, and yeah, that's how I pick my pencils. Just, yeah. Did that make any sense? I don't know. Today I don't feel like I make any sense. Also, another pencil that I like to use is a mechanical pencil. This is great for fine details like hair, eyelashes, little details in the eyes. And then for blending, big blending stump, little blending stump, and toilet paper, tissue paper, some soft paper, whatever. Don't use your hands because the oil gets onto the paper and then it's really hard to erase the graphite. This is great for large areas like the face, the cheeks, the forehead and stuff. So, and then for erasers, I like to use the knead eraser for nice soft edges. The mono mechanical eraser for some fine details. I like to do it for hair if I don't want to pick up too much, just a little bit of detail. And a electric eraser. This gets nice, sharp, clean, really bright lines. Other tools that might be useful is the little sand block, whatever they call it. I use it for two different things. I can make graphite powder, which is good for, say you want the background just to be a little bit gray. You can use that with a really thick brush. I use a makeup brush. You just dab you just scrape the thing, make powder, dab it, and then spread it all around. Another thing that might be useful is a gel pen. This is good for the catch lights on the eyes or other little shine marks like on jewelry and stuff. An empty pen, you can also get a tool that will do this too, but an empty pen, which takes a long time to make sure you take out the inside of it and then you scribble forever until it no longer has that pen because you don't want any blue on it. For the thick paper like Bristol board, you indent spaces that you want to be preserved for white. So again, for catch lights in the eye, shine marks on jewelry, whatever, just do little dents, and then when you go over it, the graphite won't get in there very easily. So also I like to have a brush. This will help me get rid of all the little graphite dust off without smudging. Also eraser bits that get loose. So yeah, I like to have an extra piece of paper so that when I'm drawing, I'm not smudging anything I've already done. You can also get gloves that do the same thing if you want to, but I find a piece of paper, just a spare printer paper, would be fine for this. Is this okay? And then I like to also print off the reference photo just as an extra thing to look at. making sure you can see everything as a whole, as well as being able to be zoomed in with the Vinci Eye App. So, features of the app, since we're here, we already showed you the anchor. You can, so I'm going to show you, you can change the opacity so you can see more reference photo versus your drawing, just get the happy middle ground. And then you can move it around. So if you press the little, I'm going to show you one here. If you press the move button, it turns purple, and then you can move it around, enlarge it and shrink it to get it into the right position you want it to be in on the paper or canvas or whatever you're working on. If you made a mistake, you could always press the reverse button to get it back to where it was. And then press the move button again, it locks in place, and then you can zoom in, everything stays in exactly where it needs to be. And just so you know, it's not zooming in the camera, it's zooming of the image of what the camera sees. So it's like, using a magnifying glass. The image is still the same size, but when you use a magnifying glass, you just see one section of that image, if that makes any sense. So that's why it gets a little bit fuzzy when you zoom in, but it's still an amazing tool. I still love it. But that's why. And then little features that I like about the app is the first thing I would do is you go into breakdown mode, turn it on, make sure cutout is off. So it would just be, it's just gray. It would turn purple if it's on. Have 5 steps and then the middle exposure, which would probably just automatically happen for you. So you press done. And it will give you stencils on your shadowing. So we press step 1. The color that's in the box is the color of the white areas, at least for the first step. So that would be white here, and then the shade that you want to match is number 2. You want to do the number 2 shade for this part. And then you go on to the next step, and then you just get it darker as you go, just trace inside the colored lines. You can change, or colored areas. You can change the color if it makes it easier for you to see certain colors. And then just keep going. And then at 4, you actually want to get it really dark, almost black for that step. And that's what I did for the bottom half here. Also, another thing is, because I chose 5 steps because I have 4 pencils I picked out. 4 pencils I picked out, and then I just add white as an imaginary pencil. So, and that's why you only see 4 steps up here. So, I use the hardest pencil I have here, which is a 2H, probably a 4H for you. Then this one would be an HB. And then mine is a 6B, but yours probably a 4B. And then I have a 14B, but yours is probably an 8B. So don't need to worry exactly what pencils you have. They would work regardless. So as long as you choose it in the way that I showed you to choose it with your drawing set. What else? So we did the breakdown mode in previous videos. So if you want to see that in more detail, go into the first video and watch from there. My next favorite feature is strobe. I turn it on and I turn up the opacity the fullest, and it will show you your drawing versus your reference photo. And that way you can get all the little details that you want to make it as as identical to the reference if you want to. This app isn't just about making photorealistic art. You could also just use it to just do basic outlines of things and then add your creativity to it later. But I'm here to show you all that you can do and all that it can do for you to make these pieces. I should breathe. So I'm going to zoom in to the section we were working on before. I think I might go in a little bit closer than I was before because I want to get that eye. I want to focus a lot on the eye because I find if you get the eyes right, the whole thing, it doesn't matter what anything else looks like, it looks really good. But if you can't get the eyes right, it really throws off everything. So we are going to use for now the middle pencil, the HB pencil, and we're going to trace some of the details. I'm actually going to turn off the strobe for now and then sharpen my pencil. Sharpen my pencil, and I'm going to do the outlines of the little shapes here, like the really dark shapes first, so I get the placement just right. If you need to, you can zoom in closer or you can zoom out. It's up to you. And then I'm also going to trace the eyelid fold. We're not going to worry about any eyelashes until we're done with the eyelids and the eyeball, and then we can add the eyelashes next. Okay, just give me a second. I was going to do something and then I forgot, and then it took me a minute to remember what I was going to do. Okay, I'm going to turn the strobe back on. And I'm going to use the second darkest pencil. Mine is a 6B and you probably have a 4B. I'm just darkening up the areas as best as I can. How's the sound quality? Is it okay, or does it need a little bit of adjustment? I don't know if I can adjust it in this video, but I can possibly play around with it later and see if I can get it better. Yeah, I'm gonna see if, just give me a second. Let me see if it's this one. Sounds like that one's it. Hello? Hello? Did I lose the sound? Oh. It paused on mine for some reason. It doesn't sound any better. I'm gonna go back to the original speaker or microphone. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Yeah, I think that's better. I think the original microphone that I chose was the better choice. And I think there's one more thing I want to try for that. Sorry, I'm playing around with this while I have a moment to do so. Let's see, audio. Since I have people who can tell me how to do this. How's this? I'm just curious. One, two, three, testing. There's a lot of noise happening in my house. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So I'm just trying to get the basic shade in right now, and we could play around with it a little bit more afterwards. I just want to try to get it to match as best as possible. Her eyes look quite dead at this moment. They will liven up later when I get some more detail going. But I'm just trying to build it up to the shade. I'm gonna try one more thing here, if I can find it. Oh, I'm losing stuff. No, I'll play around with it another day. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the softest pencil I have now and get those really dark areas. I need to sharpen this too. So usually, in fact, the outline of the iris is darker, like the outer edge of the iris is darker on the edges. Like, I don't know. I just said that twice. So we're going to do that. Also, we can kind of do some kind of random little bits that come in towards the pupil. And then also there's a shadow that hits the top of the iris, so it's also really dark there. That is from the top eyelid and also the eyelashes. So we're going to get that section darkened as well. But also keep in mind to try to keep those lighter areas alone while you're doing this. I'm going to take the small blending stump and I'm going to kind of pull it into the center where the pupil is. And then we can take, there isn't really much of a highlight in our eyes, but I am going to use the electric eraser. I gotta clean it off first, so I'm cleaning it off at an angle so there's a nice sharp end. So I don't know, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. It's really hard to see what you see. I'm just gonna just dab it. Let's get some of those little highlights. I think I might make it a little bit more dramatic than it is in the original photo. Just a little bit. But that is my creative license, is to add that little detail and make it a little bit brighter. Okay, I'm going to take that same blending stump without adding anything to it because there's already graphite on it from the iris. I'm going to do some shadowing on the edges of the whites of the eye, doing some circular motions and trying to get that curve of that shadow too, so that it makes it look like it is a sphere, like it actually is. And I'm not putting too much pressure on it, just very light pressure. And then I'm going to add even lighter pressure, just go over top of the really bright eyes, like the whites of the eye. And then I'm going to take the mono eraser, the mechanical eraser, and just go along the sides where it hits the iris of the eye. Just give some contrast there. Now we're going to work on the eyebrows. Well, we can work on the eyelid, the upper eyelid first. So we're going to start off with the HB pencil. And then we're going to just build up the shadows using light pressure and circular motions. You want to have it, you want to have nice tight circular motions because that helps with it looking smooth. Is there an auto director on? Yeah, there is, okay. You can also kind of work on the under shade of the eyebrows, if that makes any sense. Not getting it as dark as the hairs of the eyebrow, just the shade of the skin that's underneath the hairs. It's the shadows that the hairs create, and also the eyebrow bone. That's what that is. If there's anybody watching that doesn't have the Vinci Eye app and would like to try it for free for a whole year, there is a promo code for the iOS in the description. And if you don't have an iOS and have an Android, you can just email me. My email's also in the description, and I can get you your one-time use personal Android code that will also give it to you for free for a year. I forgot to mention that earlier, so I'm mentioning it now. We're using the shading to help create the shapes, the 3D effect. I find that when you're doing the face, especially the eyes, the nose, the mouth, it's kind of like putting on makeup. But yeah, just with different tools. But it's got the same idea, obviously. Especially when they are making wearing makeup, but I think she's wearing very minimal makeup in this picture. Naturally beautiful. So the shadow comes down to the nose. So I just moved it over so I can work on it as a whole, that entire area. So again, tight circular motions, light pressure, and you can just slowly build it up. I'm also going to work on the bottom lid. Not worrying about the eyelashes yet. We'll do all those little tiny details afterwards. Kind of want to do the bigger general shapes and then add the details later, because if you do the details first, you're going to lose it all. It's all just going to disappear. And then you'll have to do it again. And that's no fun, having to do it over and over again. So we're just looking what's underneath all the details. So another thing that I forgot to mention is I am streaming this on my TV. That's why I'm looking up and over the camera that you see my face instead of looking down at my phone. And this allows me to get bigger pieces. I've done an 18 by 24 inch drawing. I've done multiple of those. And yeah, so you can have your phone or your tablet up as high as your stand allows it to go. But also another tip to get larger pieces is to have your drawing surface and your phone at an angle. You do not need to have your drawing flat. So I've met some people who don't feel it very comfortable to have your drawing table flat. They like to have it at an angle, but I'm the opposite way. My arms are so weak I can't hold my hand up like that for very long. Okay, I'm actually going to use the toilet paper to blend the eyelids. So I'm just going to wrap it around my finger, like so, wrap it around, and then circular motions, but also trying to stay with the shapes of those shadows. Slightly blending the darker areas into the lighter areas. We don't need to go all the way across because we do want to preserve some of those lighter areas. I was going to test out another microphone here real quick because I don't like how I sound. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. That's still not very good. Is it the microphone or is it my headphones? I don't know. So now I'm taking the 6B, which would probably be a 4B, depending on what pencil set you have. I'm just adding some more to the darker areas of those shadows. Circular motions and light pressure. Oh boy, I think it went worse. Is it worse or is it my volume that went down that I'm listening to? Testing, testing. Testing, testing. So the tips for the eyes is work on the bigger shadowing first. Why is it so quiet? Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so for the tips, work on the bigger sections first. Don't worry about the detail till after. Think about the shadow underneath the hairs of the eyebrows. Slowly build it up. Look at eyes that are zoomed in, like pictures of eyes that are zoomed in, and try to mimic those details for practicing. And when you're doing smaller eyes, you can do a more simplified version of it. So that's what we're working on right now. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing here, and this is going to help me determine whether or not I use this mic or something else. Okay, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. 1 or 2? Two. Hands down, 2. You'd think that the mics that you buy the mic separately, that they should be better, but I guess not. Okay, so I'm going to be using, let's do the 14B, which is probably an 8B for you. And I'm going to darken up that fold. And kind of just going back and forth because it isn't a very sharp line. Like it has still got some soft edges around it. And then I'm also going to darken the base of the eyelashes. So where the eyeliner would be. And then also that little dark spot on the whites of the eye. Does it say that's dead? Okay, I'm going to take the small blending stump. I'm going to go over those lines, going in the direction of the lines just to soften it up a bit. And then also on the lash line here. So I wish I printed out a picture, like a close-up picture of the eye. I'm going to pause this for a second. Maybe that will help. Okay. So you look at the bottom of the iris and the bottom part of the eyeball, and then compare it to the position of where the bottom lash line is. There's a space between. That is called the lip of the eye. So you're going to want to get a highlight right in that center there, and also a highlight around the tear duct, like the inner corner of the eye. So let's do that. I don't know, did you see that? I don't know if you saw that. You see it now. So the highlight, the little space between the iris to the lash line. We need to work on that, get that. Why is it on a move? And there we go. So I'm going to take the mono eraser. I'm actually going to trim off the edge because it's quite dirty. I'm going to trim it at an angle. Just, there we go. Nice sharp angle there. I hope this is not the end of it, because I don't want any plastic. Oh, there's still quite a bit. I don't want any plastic gouging into the paper. Using that sharp edge, I'm just gonna get that lip. It's just right, a nice bright area right underneath. And then also I'm going to lighten up around the inner corner. Let's see where's some other highlights. There's a little bit of highlights between the eye and the fold of the eyelid. And then taking my knead eraser, I'm going to do a little bit of a highlight right underneath the arch of the eyebrow. So I just made a little, like a flat edge here. So there's like, yeah. And then I'm just kind of gonna put it at an angle and just dab around the bottom of that arch and just pick up. So it's nice and soft highlighting. I think, let me see, is there anything I need to do? I need to darken a little section here. I noticed it's a little bit too bright. I just need to darken that up. Okay, just keep looking at it, seeing if there's any adjustments we need to do. And I think it is safe to say we can add the eyelashes and the eyebrows. I'm going to use a 6B. You probably have a 4B. Make sure the pencil's nice and sharp. Actually, if you want to, you can either do that or you can use the mechanical pencil, but I think I'm going to use this. And the eyelashes don't have to be in the exact same spot, but do use it as a guideline as how many eyelashes need to be where, and the direction of the eyelashes in which they go, because that does make a huge difference in the look of realism. Like they curve out this way, and then they go kind of straight, and then they curve out that way for the most part. But it is very different for everybody, like slightly different for everybody. So just try to follow the direction of those eyelashes using the reference as a guide, but it doesn't have to be exact. Also, it helps you guide you in how dark it needs to get. And then we're going to do the lash line. So there's a very, very light shadow where that lash line is, the bottom lash line. So I'm going to do that. It's not going all the way across, I don't think. It's kind of meeting the shadow on that one side, so I'm going to pull it up there. And then again, using the guide of those eyelashes, the reference to guide the direction, approximately how many eyelashes you see, and the placement. It doesn't need to be exact. I feel like I need to add a little bit more shadow here at the bottom, so I'm just going to do some nice tight circular motions. Very light. And then just blending it out. Trying not to blend out those eyelashes we just did. Try to avoid that. That's why you want to try to get that done first. And it also looks like I need to add some more darkness to that top eyelid between the fold and the eyebrow. Just need to add a little bit more there. Okay, now we're going to go and do the eyebrows. They kind of, at the inner part of the eyebrows, they go somewhat upward, and then in here, I don't know if you can see it, in here it kind of curves downwards, and then for this part they come from the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top, kind of making a V shape. So use the reference as a guidance for the direction of the hair and how much hair needs to be in the area. It doesn't have to be exactly like the photograph, but you got to try to mimic that curves of the eyebrows, how much you need to layer to get the right shade in that area. And we're just doing some lines. We're not doing any circular motions. We want the detail. We'll try to get the detail. So there's a really dark section right here. And a dark one at the top here, and then it's pretty dark on the ends. Okay, and I'm going to take the small blending stump and I'm lightly putting pressure on it, not super bright, like not super hard, just lightly, and going in the same direction as those hairs. I'm actually going to use the printed off picture here to kind of play around with it a little bit more to get it to look the way I'd like it to look. I'm going to use the darker pencil, the darkest pencil I have. Mine's a 14B, but you probably have an 8B. And I'm going to take the Mono eraser and just pick up some of the areas that I think I might have put too much on. And I think that looks pretty good. Let me see. Maybe it needs to be a little bit darker in some areas. I'm going to turn off the strobe temporarily and make it so I can see where I've drawn, but at the same time see the shapes of like what shape the eyebrow is. So it needs to be darker in here. It's darker in here and well, and then it's right up here too. Oh, there we go. See, did that help at all? I feel like that curve of the eyebrow is not dramatic enough. Ever so slightly not dramatic enough. And it comes kind of down. And just keep playing with it. That's all. Just keep doing it. Keep working on it. I think that's pretty good. We'll take a break and then we'll come back in about 5 minutes. And afterwards, it's a good time to do some Q&A with me and then we can hop back to some drawing. That took a lot of time, but I find if you take time with the eyes, it looks a lot better at the end. So yeah, see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. Now is a good time to ask me some questions. I can go over them with you. My computer's right there. You could talk to me at any time. Wow. I have a wild child upstairs. It's supposed to be downstairs, but that's okay. If not, I will do a quick rundown about who I am and why I'm here. So how I got here, my little story, I guess. I've been drawing my entire life, as long as I can remember, even before elementary school, because my mom's an artist. She was an oil painter and a graphite artist as well. And I've always aspired to be just like my mom, but, I took art classes, all the art classes I possibly could in public school, never went to art school, and then just did it as a hobby on and off throughout my young adult years, but then didn't really get into doing commissions for income until like 2019, 2020. That's when COVID hit and I temporarily lost my job. So I had to find a way to make income, and that was the thing that kind of saved us, kept us in a home. And I also found Vinci Eye at that time. I am not the creator. I'm just a big fan, huge fan of the app. I noticed that the people who are running the app have been posting my artwork on their Instagram, and I told them, hey, that's me. And then they started tagging me all the time with my Instagram stuff when they repost my stuff. And eventually, I was telling my brother about it. I was like, these guys really like me. So my brother's like, hey, you should ask them for a job. So I did. They said, of course they want to work with me. And it went from something I did on the side to now a full-time job for me. And so, yeah, I do multiple things for them. I make their ads, I do tutorial videos, and I do these live lessons. I also do some events on their Facebook page or Facebook group, Vinci Eye App's group. What I do there is I do competitions and challenges for cash prizes. We just finished doing one recently, so we won't do another one until mid 2026. I'm just trying to think what else to say to you guys. Let's see. Was there anything else? Oh, is there anything else? If you don't have the app and want to try it for free for a year, there's a promo code in the description below for iOS. But if you do not have an iOS, I do have promo codes for Android, so just email me. My email is also in the description. So email me, you will get your own personal one-time use code, and also it's free for a year. I think that's a great time to do so, because then you can learn the ins and outs of the app with these live videos for free, and yeah, start your creative journey here, and then branch out and look up other stuff too. I am very skilled with pencil work, so like graphite pencil and colored pencil. And I love to do portraits, whether that be people portraits or pet portraits. Those are my main things I like to do. But I have dabbled in other things like watercolor, chalk pastel, graphite, acrylic paints, pretty much anything, even wood burning and stained glass paints and quilling. If there's something you want me to go over, please send me a request for that, and I will try to get to you in the order of which I receive things. I don't have to do just portraits either. I've done landscapes, still lifes, flowers. It's like a bunch of things that I've done. So yeah, please let me know and I can at least get you started on different mediums. Why is this still... Is this freezing up? Okay. So, yeah, at least I can get you started on whatever you need. But yeah, in the Facebook group, you can find me and ask me questions anytime. I will be there at least once every day to see if there's anybody needing extra help. So that's about it. So let's get back into drawing before our time's up. Why is everything switching on me? I thought I turned off the auto director. I guess I didn't. That's okay. So let's get back. I think I'm done with the eye, so I'm going to zoom back out to see the rest of it and try to get it. So I think about there is where I want it to be. I feel like this music is slowly getting louder and louder. It could be just me. I don't know if you guys can even hear the music. I'm going to turn the opacity to the fullest and I'm going to put the strobe back on. And we're going to try to, we're pretty much playing spot the difference at this time. I like to slowly get to the darker shades. We're going to start, let me just think about what's going to happen. I think I'm going to start with the HB pencil. Doing light pressure and circular motions. There's a shadow underneath her eye, but I don't want to do it too dark because you don't want her to look like she's got dark circles. So at this point, I'm pretty much shading in everything that's not highlighted. Like I'm leaving that cheekbone alone. Okay, now I'm going in with the 6B, which will probably be a 4B for you. I know we already did the eye area. I'm just refining it. Just, yeah. Still just light pressure and circular motions. The circular motions helps make it look smooth at the end after we blend it and everything in. You want to hear a crazy story that's happened to me? It's happened like a few years ago now. Well, nobody's saying anything, but I'll do it anyways. Oh, there's my daughter trying to get in. Jenya, I'm aware you want some time with me, but it's not right now, honey. I'm listening to my daughter going, streaming, shh, to my husband. She's so funny. Anyways, here is the crazy story of the day. So I was 27 weeks pregnant and I just finished drawing Katniss Everdeen, and it was instantly viewed by a ton of people. So I was just really excited. I was eating, I was just watching it, sitting at my art table. My art table's cleaned off, the drawings beside me. I'm having my supper, just chilling. And I was in between two windows in a corner. And we see a deer eating some grass early spring. And we're like, oh, look at that. Look at that. My son was home with me, and he's like, oh, that's so cool. And then we go back and we just live our lives. And I'm still sitting there eating some supper. And the corner of my eye can see this deer get frightened. Really quickly, the deer turned towards the window, jumped right through the window into my living room while I was next to the window, and started running around my house as best as it could, because everything was either hardwood floor or vinyl. But it couldn't, because it's kind of like watching Bambi on ice, this deer running around. And glasses everywhere. And I chased this deer barefoot and wrestle it while I'm 27 weeks pregnant. I opened my back door, trying to grab the fur. Fur's going everywhere. Eventually the deer played dead, so I wrapped my arm around its neck and dragged it to the back door, and then it just bolted. Meanwhile, during the entire thing, my son's going, are you okay, Mom? And I couldn't respond, because when I'm focused on doing something, I can't really talk at the same time. Especially when it's something that's taking all of my brain power like that. My son was unscathed. Is it? Why is that on? Is it dying? There's a red light on. Oh, I know why it is. That's to show what camera's on. Anyways, he was unscathed. I had like a scratch on my face and my arm and a little teeny tiny piece of glass in my foot. But yeah, it was terrifying, and to this day my son says he's allergic to deer, but the reality is he is absolutely terrified of deer. Now we live in a new place. The windows that we have are either way too high up for anything to jump in through, or way too small for something to jump through. So right now I'm going to take the toilet paper and I'm going to wrap it around my finger, and I'm just blending in circular motions, trying to follow the shapes. So I'm not going all over the place. I'm just doing in the direction of like the shadows. So if it's a circle, I'm kind of going all the way around the circle, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense. And I think we're gonna build it up a little bit more. I don't think it's quite where I want it to be. So I'm gonna use the 14B, which probably you have an 8B. I want to tell you a little bit about why I have a really dark pencil. There's not a wide range of very dark pencils that you can get, but this is a Faber-Castell pencil, and the darkest pencils that they have are in a set that's called Pitt Graphite Matte. Essentially, it is a graphite pencil that doesn't have a shine quality to it when you put a lot of it on a piece of paper. It doesn't necessarily mean it is darker than an 8B pencil. It's just a different formula. Well, I don't know if it's a different formula. I don't know what they did to it. It's just the reason why I like it so much is the fact that it doesn't shine. So, like, it doesn't have that shine to it. Just doing circular motions and light pressure. And then back to using the toilet paper. Just again, circular motions, kind of following the shapes, the curves of the shadows. She does have some freckles, but I'm going to wait until the very end to get those. And we're just, yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I am just going to work on the mother's face for now. I'm going to stop the strobe. And I'm going to trace where you can see the difference between her face, the mother's face, and the daughter's face. So I'm going to use the medium pencil, the HB pencil. And then just get right where that highlight and shadow meet for a start. Because it was changed into a black and white photo, we have lost some areas where the faces kind of just blend in together. Now, if you're watching this and this is a picture of you, because I'm doing this for somebody. Somebody had said, "Hey, can you do a drawing of me?" Somebody I know personally. Do you want me to have more of a definition between your daughter and you, or is it okay if I just try to keep it exactly like the black and white version of the photo? That's if you're watching. I don't know if you're watching. You never talk to me when you do, or you watch it after the fact. Okay, now that we got the difference between the mom and the daughter, we can start working on the rest of her face. I think I might leave the daughter alone until the very end, or at least after I've got the mother completely done. So I'm starting with, let's turn up the opacity and turn on the strobe. So I'm going to start with the HB pencil and slowly build up the shadows and preserve the highlights while we're at it. And it just reminded me to tell you something. So, if you want me to draw a picture of you, or somebody you know for these videos, you can send me them and I will do it for free, and I will actually send you the drawing afterwards. And I do it for free because I can't guarantee. Just give me a second. What do you want?
Jason's being picked up by Mackenzie?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, so if you want me to draw a certain picture, I will send you the drawing, mail it to you with no charge once it's done. I cannot guarantee exactly when it will be done. It is a first come, first served basis. And if you want to draw along with me, these pictures are they're on the Vinci Eye App group on Facebook in the featured posts. It's also in my personal Facebook page, which is charitylowsart, and my featured posts. And it's also in the app. If you go, like you're on the main page and there's 3 purple lines on the top left corner. You press that and you should be able to find a little search magnifying glass thing. And you click on that and you type in Charity Lowe's Art. You'll find it. Click on it. You'll go to my profile and it's in my inspirations. You just need to scroll because I make a lot of stencils as well, which you are free to use it for any purposes whatsoever. You just can't sell the stencils as your own, but you can sell the artwork you make out of it as your own, if that makes any sense. Like there's people who will hire artists to make stencils for them, like actual physical stencils. And if you do that, then that's something I don't want you to do. But if you're making artwork out of it, that's fine. It's completely fine. It's complicated. Complicated stuff. Okay, now I'm going to use a 6B pencil. Is that sun still poking through? I'm going to open up my window. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect lighting right now. Need some sunlight. Now I'm taking that 6B and just trying to build up that shadow very slowly but surely. Taking that toilet paper again, wrapping it around my finger and blending circular motions, but also following the shapes of the shadows. I'm going to take a look at the reference photo that I printed. I'm going to compare the shapes of the shadows to it, the shapes of the forehead, and just adjusting it. You could also zoom out of the reference in your app. You can see the whole shape here. And then I'm just going to work on it until I get the right shapes of the shadows and highlights, because that helps make the drawing, the person's face, look like them. I'm going to use the 6B. Just some circular motions and light pressure. And also a tip is to kind of hold your pencil at the end at an angle trying to use the side of the pencil instead of the tip of the pencil. It's kind of a cloudy day today. And going back to looking at the reference as it's flashing back and forth between the reference and the drawing itself. Just trying to match every shade and highlights, shadow and highlight. Because I am very particular. I'm a very particular person. I'm a perfectionist, and it could potentially be unhealthy. I think it's starting to look more like her. Okay, I'm going to start working on the lower half of her face and hair. I'm going to zoom in. And you see that really dark area right here. That is from the strobe. I mean, not the strobe, the breakdown mode. I will show you how I choose where to put the really dark areas, and the next time I do graphite drawing. But we're gonna try to blend that in more so it doesn't look so computerized. It kind of looks very pixelated, but yeah. So we're going to take the softest pencil we have. Mine is a 14B, and you probably have an 8B. So I'm just going to make some lines going in the direction of the hair, just to kind of blend that in so it doesn't look think I might zoom in a bit more. So try to mimic both the direction and the curve of the hair. If you do too straight of lines, then it's going to look very stiff. You don't want it to look stiff. I'm going to zoom in a bit more, just a bit. Okay, now that we've kind of blended in that a bit, I'm going to start going from, you know what, I think I'm going to turn off the strobe again. And then just kind of have it so you can see where the shadows are and where the highlights are, as well as where you've drawn at the same time. So you can see your pencil through it. You can see. So I'm going to do light pressure and add those strands. So tips for hair. There are things to focus on. So things you should do with the pencil is every time you do a stroke, pick up your pencil. You're not doing back and forth motions. So you do a line, you pick up, you do a line, you pick up, you do a line, you pick up, or you can go from the bottom up, do a line, pick up, do a line, pick up. So you just do that. And also, you don't have to go from the top, well, don't go from the top of the hair, the scalp, to the bottom of the hair, the ends. Don't do continuous lines all the way through. Hair will go behind other hair and will change shades as it's getting hit by different lighting as it is in different parts of the, as long as you're just doing the lines in the direction and the right curve of the hair, it should look fine. You need to focus more on the shapes of the shadows and highlights, and also building up the texture. So everything will look nice and blended. When you're done, it will all look cohesive, like it's coming from the same head. You don't need to, just trust the process. Just do that, okay? Now that we got that base, we're going to take the small blending stump and we're going to drag the blending stump in the direction of where the hair is going, and also following the curve. Even if it's a slight curve, you try to get it curved, not straight. Not completely straight. So we're just building up layer and layers and layers of hair just to get that volume, the texture, the realism. It all just takes lots of layers. I feel like my shoulder needs to crack. I can't do that. I can't stretch like that. Sorry about that. So now I put it back on strobe. I think I'm gonna go back to the 14B. There's lots of layers. And get it? There's two different ways to get areas darker. There's putting more pressure on it or just adding more layers to it. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the 6B now. This time I'm kind of going from the bottom to the top. It just seemed right to me. There is no right way and no wrong way of which direction to start, from the top or from the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna go back with the blending stump. And just going in the direction of the hair, also following the curves, the ever so slight curves. Okay, and now I'm gonna go in again with the 14B or 8B, depending on which brand of pencils you have. And I'm gonna try to get some of those smaller details of those shadows and highlights. So there's like a strand here that's super dark, and a strand there. Let's kind of add those in. Then there's a dark strand here and here. Just a few random pieces. Now I'm gonna soften those up a bit by using this small blending stump. And I'm gonna take the mono eraser and I'm gonna get some of those lighter strands of hair, just pulling up that graphite that we placed down. Let's give it some more dimension to it, more contrast. Is there any little spaces that have a little bit of a lighter hair? Okay, and then you can also take that mono eraser, because like a little thing that makes it look a little bit more realistic is having some stray hairs. So we can just these stray hairs break the rules of the other hair. They just kind of like to do their own thing. And we don't need to do a whole bunch, just a little bit. And then we take the mechanical pencil. This is where it comes in handy. And we do some stray hairs on the outer edge, also in the inner edge, like inside the hair too. Just a few strands. You could also make some strands that are blurry by using a blending stump to either make brand new ones or go over the lines of the mechanical pencil. I think I'm gonna erase some of this just lightly. So I'm just dragging the knead eraser across just to, oh, sorry. Want to darken up around the earring here. I want that earring to pop out of the page. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna focus on her lips. First thing, I'm gonna turn off the strobe again. I'm gonna do an outline of where her daughter's mouth overlaps. So we're gonna work on the mom first, and then we'll finish with the daughter. I'm just doing an outline. Something that I can see. It's all gonna blend in. It's not gonna look like an obvious line when I'm done. It's just some guidance. I'm also going to trace where the top lip and the bottom lip touch. I'm gonna do that with a darker pencil. Just get that shape, including the little curve on the edge. And then I'm going to use a lighter pencil. So let's use a HB pencil and do the outline of the lips. And do the lip liner. And we don't need to put a lot of pressure on this because it's a very light compared to the other line, and we want it to blend all in once it's done. Okay, now we can turn on the strobe again. And I am going to start with the 6B. And I'm just really focusing on the lips at this point. The general thing that you'll notice when you are studying lips is that the top lip is darker than the bottom lip. Also, but it also varies on which angle the light's on your face. So if the light's below your face, let's just take. Let's see. So if the light, I'm just trying to show you with this, with my own face. So if the light's below, it looks different than if the light's above, and also different sides too. So we gotta figure out, or just keep in mind where the light is coming from. Who is that? Let me see. Sorry. Sorry, that is my son's babysitter. Also, it's the lady I'm drawing. So I'm just slowly building up the shadows, the shade. Okay, so I'm going to take the blending stump, just do some circular motions, just get it nice and smooth. And then when it comes to that line that separates the top lip from the bottom lip, you just follow that line to soften that up. It'll look better once I get like her bottom of her cheek and her jaw and her chin done too. It will look better. Right now it looks like she was wearing a COVID mask, like a medical mask, and went sunbathing. Anyways, that is it for the day. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And yeah, if you have any requests for future videos, please send them in the comments and I will see those and do first come, first serve for that. Even if it's like just a study, if you want to do a day that's just focused on one particular thing, that is fine by me. I'm here to help you. Okay, I'm not here to do just whatever I want to do. I'm here to help you in what you want to learn. So you guys have a wonderful day, and yeah, never stop creating.